Okay, here we go. Okay. Hello. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Katie, and this channel is a little bit of a mismatch of everything travel. I've got some old travel blogs and random videos. I'm not entirely sure that I encourage you to watch those because some of my old stuff is a little cringe, but there are some good things that I said. And as I shift back more to life on the road, I'll definitely keep adding to that. The last few years have been a little more stable and less travel as I've been living in Argentina, but I plan to get back on the road by the end of the year, so that's very exciting. You'll also see some podcast episodes. Me putting them up on YouTube is a recent thing. So if you've been liking those, there's a whole year of audio ones that haven't been published here on YouTube, and those are great. So you can find those on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And lastly, I'm trying a new thing on For Size, which is going to be about me on my journey back to Korea. So I was born in South Korea and I was adopted when I was 4 months old and grew up outside Chicago, not in the suburbs. I don't know why that's an important distinction for us, but somehow it is. Um, I spent the entirety of that time basically trying to be as like American as possible. It shaped the way that I talk, the way that I dress, the way that I think, and just kind of like the essence of who I am. And that wasn't really like a conscious decision. That is something that, knowing what I know now, I look back on and say, oh, yeah, of course. But that's not to say that like my original heritage wasn't celebrated. My parents did an awesome job with that. My airplane day is the day that I arrived. I think other people call it like gotcha days and stuff like that. But yeah, we celebrate my airplane day every year. And so usually getting at least going to get Korean food. But like when I was younger, I used to get presents and stuff. So it's like a whole extra birthday. Um, my two younger brothers are biological kids of my parents, so they did not get an airplane day. And I remember one day, I mean, I was old, like in my 20s, and one of my brothers was like, wait a second, Katie gets like a second birthday essentially. That does not seem fair. And I was like, well, but yeah, so that was always fun and really special. And like in elementary school, when you bring in treats or whatever for your birthday, on my airplane day, my mom would always bring in Korean food. And so that was really cool to get to share some of my Korean culture with people. I used to go to Korean camp every summer. So this was in the suburbs of Chicago, and it was a Korean church. And it was a camp. I mean, I guess it's like exactly what it sounds like. It was a camp for Korean adoptees and their families. There'd be like every hour was like a different session. And so there would be, I don't know, like a language hour, which in the like 8 years or however many years that I went, I still only know how to say a few things. Um, but yeah, like Korean fairy tales, just kind of cultural things. You could choose between taekwondo or fan dancing. There was all these different things about different aspects of Korean culture. And then every day for lunch, we would eat Korean food. So my mom would volunteer in the kitchen, and so she learned how to make Korean food. So we'd eat Korean food, throughout the year, not just at Korean camp. And it was the same people that went every year, and so you kind of get to see people every year. And yeah, it was a really cool and unique thing that I certainly took for granted as I was growing up, because that is very special, and a very special thing that my parents certainly did not have to do for me. Um, I also went back to Korea when I was 15 years old, so the summer between my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And that was a trip for Korean adoptees, and it was mostly tourism stuff. But the company that we went with did their best to connect with everybody's past. So one guy got to meet his like birth father, which was like extremely emotional. Obviously, I got to meet my foster mom, so she's the woman that took care of me for the 4 months before I left for the States. And yeah, it was a really cool trip. Looking back now, I think I definitely didn't know, didn't understand the impact of it, um or appreciate it quite as much, just because I was like a silly 15-year-old girl. um but yeah, I think it's really special that I was given those opportunities. And I talked about this on my podcast a little bit. Food is really the only place that I felt safe to be Korean and excited to like share with other people. And so, I think again that also has helped shaped who I am. And now I have a whole podcast where I talk about food and culture, and how, it's like a gateway to everything, I guess, to having conversations, to learning about culture, to getting to know people. So yeah, I guess I just kind of like kept living my life and didn't think too much more about identity as far as like my Koreanness went. But during the pandemic, just like everybody else, I had a lot of time. And so, yeah, I ended up doing a lot of learning as well. So I started thinking back on my experiences in the past, and I gotta say, I really, really began to understand where the phrase ignorance is bliss comes from, because it hit me hard. Like, I guess I just started retroactively feeling the accumulation of all the microaggressions throughout my life, and kind of realizing what they were, what was happening. And in some ways, it was like easier for me because I was able to vocalize more some of my experiences and my feelings, that I had never quite understood. But also, as I began to understand more and more what all of that meant, um, it also, was hard. Like, I felt a huge range of emotions, from like anger, confusion, sometimes like enlightened, sometimes ashamed. Like, and that's not, unique. These are emotions that everybody experiences, but I guess just like, I guess I just hadn't, I don't know. It was kind of, it was all at once, in a lens of looking back at my life up until that point, and it's just like, I don't know, it was a lot. And so yeah, maybe a little bit of part of me has always known, but it's becoming, it's been becoming clearer and clearer that before I settle down, I really don't like the term settle down, but Italy for me is everything. It is my forever place, my forever everything, and I'm so excited to realize that dream soon. But I know that before I do that, I have to go to Korea. I have to figure out like how it fits into me and how I fit into it. Whether that be not at all, or whether it be something that, a really huge part of me. I don't know. I certainly feel better, more confident. I think part of that has to do with being older and having educated myself a little bit and looked back on and looked into feelings and things, but also, uh, it's like cool to be Korean now, like with all of the pop culture and stuff, with K-pop and Squid Games, whatever, um, Parasite, whatever. Like all of the pop culture stuff now, it's safer than it was to like be Korean, to be different, to be uh Asian, to be Asian, to be different. Um, well, I guess it's both safer and not safer. I guess I mean safer, from ridicule or like embarrassment or shame or like things like that, because yeah, I don't actually don't think it's physically safer, which is so horrible and sad. And that's a whole other topic that we're not going to get into right now. But anyway, um, but yeah, I am excited, and I don't know, like I preface this whole thing with the fact that my plans to go to Korea are for over a year away. I've got some other exciting stuff planned coming before that, which you'll see coming up. But one of my favorite pastimes is to make plans, get really excited about them, and tell everybody that I'm doing them, and then change them at the very last minute. So one time I told my dad that I was going to Australia, and someone had asked my dad like how I was doing, and he was like, "Oh, great, yeah, she's in Australia." And they were like, "I think I just saw on Facebook that she's in Colombia." And he was like, "Katie, if you could just like at least keep me updated on like which continent you're going to, that would be great." So yeah, my bad. But all that is to say that I reserve the right to change my mind. Um, and we shall see. But yeah, I'm kind of doing this as, maybe someone can see this who sees a little bit of themselves in my story. At like worst, it's something that just ends up being like a therapeutic project for myself. But yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to be doing. I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know how often I'm going to post. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I'm just kind of giving it a go. And, we can only do the best with the information that we have in the moment. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. I will make sure to add these to specific playlists so they're easier to find, because I am going to try to post different kinds of content and stuff and continue posting the podcast and everything. So, yeah, I would love to hear from you guys as always. If you can relate to this, if you love food and travel, I want to hear about that too. And if you know anybody who might resonate with this, definitely send it to them. You can comment below or find me on Instagram at both Tasty Trails Travel Pod, and tasty.trails.travel. I guess that's all. So yeah, keep an eye out for updates. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you do get notified whenever new videos come out, because yeah, I really don't know how often it's going to be. Um, and yeah, I guess that's all for now. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.